Living on the streets was very difficult. Um, Me and Ricky would walk and walk and walk from Los Angeles through Hollywood. We had no idea where we were going. We had nowhere to go. We didn't know anybody. We didn't know which direction we were going. We didn't know where anything was. We just walked. And we would, whenever we got to a busy intersection somewhere, I'd play the guitar. He'd sing, and we'd repeat it over and over. Get enough money for a loaf of bread, and Ricky would steal the ham. This was every day. Um, Eventually, we would make some extra money, and there was this man in a wheelchair on Hollywood Boulevard that would sell joints for $1. So we would buy $1 joint from this man, and we would walk for who knows how many miles to this park in Los Angeles just to sell that one joint for $2. And then we would walk back to Hollywood Boulevard, where we figured out that on Hollywood Boulevard we made our most money playing the guitar and singing. So we'd eventually get enough money to buy, two or three, even four joints sometimes, and walk all the way to that park again and sell those joints for $2 each. We eventually figured out that if we walked to downtown Los Angeles, there was a block. I don't know how many blocks this was long, but it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that in my life. But there was people standing on this block selling marijuana or who knows what else. We didn't do anything else. We just smoked the weed. We sold the weed, bought it. But they were lined up all down this block selling drugs. So as soon as we got to that block, the first guy would run out to us and ask us, what do we need? And I would say, we're looking for a nickel bag. That's $5 worth. And he'd go, yeah, I got you right here. And he'd start stuffing the bag. Well, by then, we're in the streets long enough that we started developing that street attitude. And I would, as soon as he showed me that bag, I would just tell him, nah, man, I don't want that. I can get a better deal down the street. I'm going to go down there. And he would go back and he'd say, no, 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 here, I'll put some more in it. So he'd put more weed in the bag. And me and Ricky would take it and we'd run off laughing that we did that. And we would go buy a pack of Bugler cigarette papers, and we'd go to that park where we could sell them the joints for $2. And we'd sit there and we'd roll like 10 joints out of this little bag of weed, and we would sell them for $2 each at the park. And now we had like, you know, $20 sometimes, and we go actually buy some food every now and then that we could. And we just kept doing that. We, Hollywood Boulevard, play the guitar, sing, get cash, buy the $2 joints at first, until we discovered the strip in Los Angeles downtown where we'd go buy the bags. Now we made it up, from joints to the bags, and that's how we survived. And so my mom and her boyfriend Gilbert, we would find them every now and then. We lost them for a good period of time because we got lost. We didn't have any clue where we were at or where we were going. But then one day I was I was walking down the street, and this homeless man asked me if my name was Arthur, and I said yeah. And he goes, "Hey man, your mom described you to me, and she told me that if I saw you, to tell you that she's staying down there at the motel, whatever, on Sunset Boulevard or wherever, Santa Monica Boulevard, wherever it was at the time." And so I was excited. Yes. So we take off over there. We find the motel. We go there. We find my mom, and there she was. And it was so great to see her, right? And so we'd been on the streets, man, sleeping on park benches and stuff. You don't really sleep. You. I mean, I have my guitar. You sleep with one eye open. You get guys trying to ask you for money, guys trying to rob you and stuff, and it was tough. So when we got to stay in that motel that night, this one particular night, uh, my mom and Gilbert, they had some beer. We got a beer, something we really didn't drink much on this because we couldn't afford it. We weren't old enough to buy it anyway. And so we smoked a little pot, drank some beer. I sat on that couch, and I'll never forget sitting there on that couch, laying back, there's a roof over my head. I feel safe. I haven't had this feeling in a while. I set my guitar down, I laid there, and I go into a deep sleep. And I know this sleep was very short because the next thing I know, I wake up to my mom yelling, Arturo, Arturo, get up, get up. He's hitting me. He's hitting me. And I jump up and I jump up and I am in a daze. Like, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what's going on around me. I am still in a deep sleep. I just jump up and all I think of, grab my guitar and run. I just think, flee this place. Something's happening, right? I've been in the streets for months now. My thought was, get out of here. There's danger, right? Well, I grabbed my guitar. I remember seeing Ricky jump out the window. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to grab my guitar. I guess I'm going to jump out the window too. I don't know what's happening. But I grabbed my guitar, and that's the last thing I remember until I open my eyes and I'm laying down on my back on the bed. And as I look to my left, my eyes open, I look to the left, my mom is laying next to me. And she's covered in blood and unconscious. So I look back up and I look in front of me, and all I see is Gilbert, her boyfriend, standing over me, us, with my guitar neck in his hand, and it's coming down. And as it's coming down, I could see the wood from the body of the guitar dangling like two propellers in the air. And the strings are still holding onto the neck of the guitar that Gilbert's holding, and he's coming down, and that wood, boom, and it's hitting us. And every time it hits, I just see blood just splatter. There's blood everywhere. I'm thinking my mom is dead. He's trying to kill me. And I jump up, and I just remember just grabbing him and trying to fight him. The door's over there. I'm trying to get to the door. I'm running to the door, and I grab the door, and I pull it open. And when I do, he kicks me and the door slams on my fingers, and I can't get my hand out. My hand's in the door. He's behind me. My body's against the door. He's behind me, pressing all his weight against me. He's punching me. He's kneeing me in the back. He's kicking me, whatever he can do to me. And I can't fight because my hand's stuck in the door. And I'm bleeding. I'm bleeding from having been beat, and I'm weak, and I'm getting weaker. And I don't know what to do. I can't do anything, man. All I can do at this point is I just reached back and I grabbed him by the testicles. And I squeezed with everything I could. Whatever energy I had, I just squeezed. And I still felt him. He leaned into me now. And he's still punching me, and he's trying to knee me. And he's getting weak, and he's saying to me to let go. And I won't let go. I'm holding on to him for dear life. And he's getting weak, and I feel his chin right here on my shoulder, and he can't really punch me anymore. And he's sliding down, and he's sliding down, and he's sliding down, and I'm holding on, and I'm starting to go down with him. And finally my hand pulls out of the door. While this is going on, though, I hear people on the other side of that door, and they're yelling, "We're calling the police, we're calling the police." And when my hand finally, actually, I was able to pull the door open as he went down. I was able to pull the door. Then the people pushed the door open, and they grabbed me and pulled me out. I remember going out, but that's the last thing I remember. That's the last thing I remember until I woke up in the hospital. And I just remember that morning we left the hospital, the next morning, whatever it was. And me and my mom were both stitched up. She was alive. I was so happy that she was alive. We both had stitches where he'd beat us with the guitar, and we left the hospital. And I don't even remember My mom went back, I guess, to the motel room. Gilbert went to jail. My mom went back to the motel room because she had a voucher to stay there. I went back with Ricky, and we went back to the streets. And that was the night that I got my guitar broke over my head, my acoustic guitar. I still have a scar. Every time they cut my hair, I have to tell them, hey, don't hit that scar right there because it's already bald in that spot. If you hit it, it's going to really show up. But anyway, that's a story of having the guitar broke over my head.